where I came from, because the mission, from my understanding, is to give hope to the youth. So I want to try to give some type of hope today by just being honest and letting you guys know who I am. So basically, you guys already know I was born in the United States. I'm from a state called Florida. I don't know, has anybody ever heard of Florida? You have? All right, that's where I was born at. I was born and raised in the capital of Florida, which is Tallahassee. Um, so growing up, um, my mom and my father, I don't really have early recollection of their relationship. I just know from the time that I, realized that I was a person. um, I was probably about maybe 3 years old. Um, upon my realization of existing in this world, my mom was in another different relationship. Her and my father had separated, and they were no longer together. So, from my understanding, my dad was in the military and in a different state from me, and I was living with my mom along with my older brother, that's a year older than me, and my mom was dating a police officer. So I was about 3 years old, and I just remember one day her boyfriend, being my mom, she used to work during the day. Her boyfriend worked at night. So they thought that it would be good if we didn't have daycare, that, they just alternated on keeping us because they worked different shifts. So I just remember one day my mom's boyfriend um, was watching me and my brother, and he asked us if we wanted to play a game. So we were like, yeah. So he was like, we're going to play a game, and whoever I catch, they have to stay in the house. And whoever I don't catch, they can go outside. So I had never heard of this game before. I'm 3 years old. My brother's 4 years old. So we're playing the game. He counts to 3 or counts to 10, whatever he counted to. And me and my brother took off running. Well, on this particular day, I was the one that got caught. He caught me. So I had to stay in the house. My brother was allowed to go outside. When I stayed in the house, I sat down. I remember watching cartoons, watching TV, and he told me to come over to where he was sitting on the couch. Now, mind you, this is a correctional officer. I go over there, and he said, I'm going to do something to you. However, if you tell anybody, I'm going to kill you and your whole family. My brother's outside playing. I'm only 3 years old. My brother's 4. So at the time, outside of my mom, my brother was my protection. My protection was outside. I didn't really know how to take that comment that he said to me. However, what he ended up doing to me, and I'm gonna keep it real with y'all because I don't know no other way to be. I was 3 years old, and this correctional officer made me perform oral sex on him at 3. And so I was scared. I really didn't know what to do. And I just kept thinking to myself, like, my God, like, God, what is this? Like, this man said he's going to kill me and my whole family if I tell him what he's doing to me. And I know he can do it because I see the gun every day. He's a correctional officer. So, needless to say, that took place. I did not tell my mom what happened. My mom ended up being diagnosed with an illness, a terminal disease called lupus. My mom was very young, a young mother. And so when this happened, I really didn't want to put any more stress on my mom because she was already sick. And I didn't want him to kill me, my mom, and my brother. So I didn't say anything. So I lost hope. In that moment, I lost hope. However, I remember having a feeling from God saying, I got you. I got you. Just have faith in me and I got you. So all I could do in my mind while I'm doing this act is to talk to God. So that's what I did. I talked to God. And so to make a long story short, my mom's disease, it started getting worse. So my mom didn't really know how to cope with the disease, being young and being separated from her husband and having these two young children. So in order to cope with the illness, my mom started doing drugs. So when my mom started doing drugs, I felt like I was really just like lost. And mind you, I'm 3, 4 years old and I'm taking care of me and my brother, but especially me, I'm taking care of my mom. I'm trying to fix my mom's stuff to eat. I'm trying to give her medicine. I have to give her water. And I'm a child trying to take care of a grown woman. So we were living in poverty. We didn't have a whole lot of money. I found out that my dad, he ended up getting a dishonorable discharge from the military because he got caught selling drugs in the Army and he was a sergeant. So my dad ended up going to the penitentiary. So once again, even if I wanted that protection, being that my dad was in a different state and being that he was no longer accessible to me, I didn't even have that. So I couldn't even like call my dad or anything. So my mom, she ended up getting away from the guy that she was with, the correctional officer. And me and my brother, we ended up moving with my grandma, with my mom. My mom's drug addiction, it got worse, which led her illness to get worse. We grew up in poverty. I'm talking about we didn't have a car. I'm talking about we didn't have the best shoes. We didn't have the best clothes. It was rough. It was hard. But one thing that we did have is we had faith and we had hope. And there was still love there. We had love. My grandma, she did a really good job raising me and my brother, along with my mom still being in and out of the house. My mom ended up dying when I was 9 years old. And when my mom passed away, despite her shortcomings, despite her illness, despite her drug habit, that was my best friend. So when my mom died, I felt like I died. I felt like a part of me died when my mom died. And there's still a part of me that's still longing for my mom. So, I say all that to say that faith and hope is important. Having a personal relationship with the Most High is important. When I first met y'all, I didn't know I was coming to a church. My husband, he's in the United States. He knows I like music and dance and culture. So he Googled where I can come to get those things. And St. Rita Church didn't come up. The location came up. Therefore, when I came here and I met y'all, I wasn't like, appropriately dressed for church. But you guys welcomed me anyway. I didn't feel anybody judging me or anything. So I appreciate you guys for that because I did not know I was coming to a church. So, one thing that I did have as well is that when I was about 3, 2, 3, 4, my mom and my brother, they taught me how to dance. So we used to dance in Florida all the time as children, and we would like go to talent shows and we would win talent shows. Like my aunt, she still got big trophies of of accolades of us winning things from dancing. And we kept dancing even through the trauma. We kept dancing because when I danced, I felt like because he took away my voice at an early age by threatening to kill my whole family, I felt that I could express myself freely through dancing, which is a nonverbal communication. So one thing that he didn't, he took away my voice, But what he couldn't take away was my gift to dance. And I kept dancing. So my dad ended up getting out of the penitentiary when I was probably about 10. That was about like a year after my mom passed away. My dad he's a very strict, because mind you, he went from being in the military to going to the penitentiary. So my dad was like institutionalized. He was really strict and disciplined. And he's very business minded. So by the time I was 10 years old, my dad had remarried, and his wife, my stepmom, she ended up being very abusive towards me. I don't know. I don't know why she was really like that abusive towards me, and why my dad even allowed that to go on. However, I kept dancing. I kept my faith in the Most High, because I knew that it couldn't go on forever. So, needless to say, my dad was very strict on me and my brother, and I had to like live a very structured life. We ended up starting a family business, and I ended up learning the business. I ended up being very business minded and disciplined in business. So as we started this family business, the business just started growing. It started growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. And now my dad is probably a multimillionaire. But he did not do that alone. He had a family, and we did it together. However, the more business oriented we became, the less love there was in the house. The more money that came, the less love there was at the house. Now, I'm not saying that's not the case in every situation. However, that was the case for me in my situation. And yes, I do believe that wealth does give a better quality of life. However, I feel like there's nothing, she's smiling. I feel like having a relationship with the Most High is priceless. So, kept dancing. I ended up finding out I had another brother, and he was from Texas, and he used to rap. So, when I met him, he was like, I used to write a lot. I used to write about my feelings. I had journals, diaries. I just used to write about how I felt all the time. So my brother, he was like, "You're a really good writer. You should think about rapping or singing, because you have a good voice and you can write." So I was like, "Whatever." So I just like started writing. He ended up taking me to the studio, and then I started recording. And then I started performing. And then it became a demand for my artistry. So I performed in a lot of different states. I performed in a lot of different on a lot of different stages. And then I started hosting events, and it just grew from there. And I was telling Michael, I just told him this, but I had started a dance team, and I started working with young girls from the ages of 3 to 17 years old. My dance organization was called the Leading Ladies, and we ended up doing really well. And so we got invited into the United Nations twice. I only had this organization for about 3.5 years. So in 3.5 years, we went and performed different places, and we got invited to the United Nations. Now I don't know if you guys know what the United Nations is, but I would ask that maybe you Google it and look it up and see what it is. But it's a very it's a government official type thing, and they help make laws internationally. So then after that, I kept performing, and I ended up becoming a Grammy contender. So I say all that to say, despite the trauma, despite the poverty, despite the hand I felt I was dealt, as far as with my mom, I kept a relationship with the Most High. I kept my faith, and I kept using the gift that God gave me to um, ensure and keep my hope and my faith intact. So I feel like if I did not have a personal relationship with the Most High, if I didn't keep dancing, keep rapping, keep recording, I don't think that I would be here with y'all today. I don't think God would even allow us to meet. So I say all that to say, despite the shortcomings, despite anything that you're going through in your life, try to keep a positive mind frame and just know and keep a good relationship with the Most High. That's to me, that's the most important thing. And keep living in your purpose. Keep singing, keep dancing, and that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I just wanted to let you guys know a little bit about me and who I am. And if anybody else has a testimony that they would like to share, the floor is open. Because I'm here not to just talk. I want to get to know y'all too. So does anybody want to share anything? I mean, you don't have to go into detail if you don't want to, but if you just have anything to say, we can do that.